We are in Hampton County, South Carolina, at Sandy Run Cemetery to check out the grave of Mallory Beach.
She was only 19 years old when she died back in 2019 in a boating accident. The driver of that boat was apparently a young man by the name of Paul Murdaugh. We're going to get into it a little bit more, and we're also going to pay our respects at her grave. We cordially invite you to come along.
Come along.
What bridge is it? Paul, what bridge is this? Paul, what bridge?
911, where's your emergency? Hello? Police, fire, ambulance? Hello?
We're in a boat crash on Arthur Street.
Whereabouts on Arthur Street?
In Arthur Street, the only bridge on Arthur Street.
Archer Street?
Archer's Creek.
Archer's Creek. Archer's Creek. Okay.
On the afternoon of Saturday, February 23, 2019, Paul Murdaugh, who was only 19 years old at the time, was on a mission to figure out how to buy some alcohol. At 5:30, he arrived at Parker's Kitchen in Ridgeland. At 5:33, he stepped up to the register with 3 different kinds of beer and asked for a pack of cigarettes. He handed the cashier his older brother Buster's ID, then his family credit card, and purchased the beer. A minute later, he was out by his truck, which was pulling his family's boat, raising the beers in celebration. He then drove to his family's river property, known as Murdaugh Island. There a group of friends met up. There were 6 of them all together that night. The group was made up of Paul and his girlfriend at the time, Morgan Doughty, Anthony Cook and his girlfriend Mallory Beach, Anthony's cousin, Connor Cook, and his girlfriend Miley Altman. They were all planning to attend an oyster roast that evening on Paukie Island. They decided to hitch a ride to the party with Paul on the boat. According to the GPS data taken from the boat, the group arrived on the boat at the dock behind the home of James and Christy Wood, where the oyster roast was happening at 8 p.m. They were there for a little more than 4 hours before getting back on the boat just after midnight. At 12:46 a.m., they arrived at the Henry C. Chambers Waterfront Park and tied the boat up to the Beaufort City Day Dock. Before arriving, the GPS tracker recorded the boat almost colliding with the wood swing bridge. Here is a video of them getting off the boat. Paul and Connor are the first off, followed by Morgan and Miley. Then finally, Anthony and Mallory exit as well. Apparently at this point, Paul decided he wanted to go get some drinks at a bar nearby. Others in the group didn't want to do that, but Miley later told investigators he just was very persistent about going up and getting a shot. Paul walks away, then returns, and is eventually able to talk Connor into going to get some drinks. They left the rest of the group behind and headed to Luther's Rare and Well Done. Paul ordered a pair of what were apparently Jaeger bombs at 12:59 a.m., which they drank. Then Connor ordered a pair of lemon drop shots just 6 minutes later at 1:05, which they also quickly drank. Paul then talked to a man at the bar, and the two left at 1:07, just 2 minutes after ordering the second round of drinks. Here they are leaving the bar to head back and meet up with the rest of the group.
At 1:13, they met back up with the rest of the group at the dock. Friends say Paul wasn't fun to be around when he drank too much. In depositions from a civil lawsuit filed against Paul by the Beach family, Anthony Cook said, "The nickname Timmy started 3 or 4 years before the boat crash. It's a different name because he turns into a completely, totally different person. So somebody will say, 'All right, here comes Timmy, we got to go.'" Paul seems to be stumbling and arguing with the others as they head back to the boat. The final 2 people to make their way onto the boat are Mallory and Anthony. Mallory is laughing and having a good time talking to Anthony in the final known video of her before the crash. Here, we see the boat leaving the dock and heading out into the darkness of the cold night. Cook testified that once they were back on the boat, Paul either pushed or slapped his girlfriend and took off all of his clothes except for his underwear. Cook said Paul for some reason acted like he was on drugs or something. He started taking his clothes off during one of the arguments, and it's 40 degrees outside. I've seen him do it a few times when he gets drinks. I don't know why he does that. Cook said there were a lot of arguments on the boat fueled by the alcohol. He said Paul was driving the boat in circles. He also said Mallory made a comment about Paul being stupid and said she wanted to go home. At that point, according to Cook, Paul turned and pointed at her, and I could tell he was going to say something, and I told him not to make that mistake. And he stared at me for a second, went back to steering the boat, and I believe that's when the boat took off. Cook said that's when someone hit the throttle of the boat. We went from a 2-mile-per-hour idle to the bow of the boat sticking up in the air, he said. GPS records show the boat decreased, then suddenly increased in speed at 2:20 a.m.
Around 2:20 a.m., their boat crashed into this bridge behind us.
Mallory was thrown out of the boat and landed into the dark waters. They were not able to find her at that time. Miley would later say Mallory was just like nowhere to be seen. It was just like she disappeared. Anthony was screaming in the water for Mallory, and that's when I knew something bad had happened. Anthony said Mallory was sitting on his lap when the boat crashed. She was immediately thrown out of the boat and into the cold, dark waters below.
After y'all hit the bridge, did y'all beach the boat up there on the side of the thing, or did the boat, that's where it ended up?
That's where it ended up.
Okay. Do y'all think y'all hit one of the markers that in the beginning of it?
Sure.
Okay.
Can I use your phone? Can I use your phone?
Hey, bro, I ain't got my phone on me, brother.
You ain't got your phone on you?
No, you dropped yours in the grass right back there.
So this time, hey,
We're looking right now for it. They're down there looking, okay?
but they got a good church on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna it.
They're gonna find you, okay? They're down there looking right now, okay?
You know they got that's a good church, right?
Yeah, we got a good team down there looking for it, okay?
Hey, can I use your phone?
I don't have my phone on me, buddy.
Use your phone?
Here. Hey, here, stay right here. I'm gonna go get that one you dropped on the ground back there, alright? You got it already? Okay. So there were 6 total people at the boat. They hit, I think, on the bridge pile, and where you see the boat is where it ended up.
Okay.
One of the young ladies got ejected. She still has not been found. Tide's going out, and we tried walking down the marsh a little ways to find her.
So we got 6 total, 5 accounted for.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Tide's going out, and they were running this way when they hit the bridge, so she probably got ejected and the current carried her down that way.
Come out, 14.
Listen, man, my mom works for Sled.
Okay, listen, that's cool. I done told you you're not in trouble.
Do you want about that? I need to call
come out
her.
with her?
I need to call her.
Go, you can go down there. What's your mom's number?
Mom, y'all need to come to me for quick. We hit a bridge in the boat. Connor's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory. Morgan's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory, Mom. Where we at?
We're at Paris Island.
Paris Island Bridge. Mom, there's 50 cops here, Coast Guard, everything. We can't find Mallory. It's been 30 minutes, Mom. You probably need to call Mr. A or Mr. Phillip. I'll be 21 in 3 days.
What about the driver of the boat? Is he 21?
No.
Has everybody on the boat's been drinking?
Yeah.
Especially the driver?
How big we drive that
But
fucking
the, it's going way too fast.
I don't even know. I finally got to the point I grabbed my girlfriend and put her in my lap in the bottom of the boat and was holding on with my eyes closed. The next thing I know, I'm in the water. I can't find her. Is anybody in the water looking for her?
Yes, we got MRO, we got DNR, fire department's got their boats in the water. Coast Guard is on the way with the chopper. DNR's en route. Alright?
She's at the bottom of the river.
They're going to have a dive team. We got a dive team. We got a bunch of resources. Okay?
It's
Regardless, like I told you, regardless of the outcome, we will find her. Alright? But you just got to keep faith that she's somewhere on the bank or, you see what I'm saying?
Y'all know Alex Murdaugh?
Oh, yeah, I know that name.
That's his son.
That's so driving the boat.
Good luck.
Man,
Paul wasn't given a field sobriety test here. Instead, he, along with 3 of the remaining teens who were on the boat, were taken to Beaufort Memorial Hospital. A nurse at the hospital said, Paul was wearing only boxers and was grossly intoxicated and belligerent. The nurse also said, Paul was the most intoxicated and uncooperative of those involved. Paul's father, Alex Murdaugh, along with his grandfather, Randolph Murdaugh, arrived at the hospital shortly after the teens. A nurse said Alex was walking around introducing himself to the EMS and ER staff. The nurse also said he was walking throughout the ER trying to talk to all the patients involved. Another nurse who was helping Morgan said Alex was attempting to get into her room multiple times while the police were investigating her. According to witnesses, Alex was trying to talk to all of the teens who were on the boat. A local journalist by the name of Michael DeWitt said, I think that from day one, ground zero, the effort was, what can we do to get Paul out of this? How can we create a cloud of confusion and say, can you prove who was driving the boat? Paul was finally given a blood alcohol test at the hospital around 4 a.m., about an hour and a half after the crash. His blood alcohol content was found to be 0.286. which is more than 3.5 times the legal limit. Of course, if he would have been tested immediately after the crash, it would have been even higher. A week later, on Sunday, March 3, 2019, a boater spotted a body in the water near the Broad River boat landing. The body was later identified as 19-year-old Mallory Beach. The coroner's report said she died from drowning and blunt force trauma. A wrongful death lawsuit was filed on March 29, 2019. Then just 3 weeks later, on April 18, 2019, which would have been Mallory's 20th birthday, Paul was indicted on multiple felony charges, including boating under the influence, resulting in the death of Mallory Beach, along with serious bodily injuries to 2 of the passengers on the boat. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. On Monday, June 7, 2021, Paul was out on bond spending time with his mother Maggie at the family's hunting property near the dog kennels when they both were shot multiple times by 2 different guns. Apparently, Paul was shot twice by a shotgun, once in the chest and the other through his arm and head. Maggie was shot multiple times by a semi-automatic rifle. Alex found them that night.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
22-year-old Paul, along with his 52-year-old mother Maggie, were both murdered in the shooting. The case is still not solved. Apparently, family members of all the teens who were on the boat, as well as the teens and Mallory Beach's family, all voluntarily gave DNA samples to investigators. Alex Murdaugh was named as a person of interest in the case at one point. Criminal charges against Paul for the boating accident were dropped after his death. However, civil suits are still piling up on Alex, including the one from the Beach family, as well as one from Connor Smith, where he accuses Alex of trying to coerce the victims of the crash into saying he was the one driving the boat, not Paul, when it crashed. The Beach family also sued Buster for letting his brother use his ID to buy alcohol, and they sued Parker's convenience stores for selling the alcohol to Paul. Also in early December, the family accused Parker's of trying to smear them on social media in an effort to get them to drop the lawsuit. After Mallory's death, Mal's Pals was created. The website for the group says she had a genuine love for God, her family, and her pets. Mallory had a strong passion for animals, especially the forgotten ones. Her goal was to see that every animal is loved and cared for. Mal's Pals was created to keep Mallory's dream alive and to raise money for efforts to build a new animal shelter for the community. All funds donated to Mal's Pals go directly to building a new shelter in Hampton County and to support local shelters. If you have any questions or would like to keep Mallory's memory alive, email them at malspals2019@gmail.com. The righteous care for the needs of their animals, Proverbs 12:10. According to Mallory's obituary, she was a graduate of Wade Hampton High School and played on the soccer team. She attended Huggin Oak Church of God in Cummings, was was an animal lover and enjoyed hunting with her dad. Mallory was employed at its retail therapy clothing store in Beaufort, and she dearly loved her family and many friends who were very close to her.